Hello, dear friends. This is Cardiac Radio at 11 p.m. Nourishing our souls together. Cardiac Radio is here 24/7. We've just completed 8 years and we begin a new cycle of experiences, new programs, expansion always. We have listeners in more than 120 countries around the world. And our programs go through several different platforms. You can even listen our programs at Tuning Radio, your Amazon Alexa, the Echo Dots. You can also listen to us through our own app, Cardiac Radio's app, which is free of charge. You can listen to the podcast through SoundCloud. But if you have our app, everything's already laid out there. You can find our YouTube channel. You can find Cardiac Radio's Facebook page, the Twitter account, the Instagram account, the SoundCloud account, everything. And daily we have live programs and more new programs are coming along. This week, a new program is going to begin live. Geraldo Lemos Neto, who used to be a close friend with Chico Xavier, is going to begin his live programs at Cardiac Radio on Wednesdays. And it's a joy for us that he's going to do this because he's going to talk about much that he knows. He is a true scholar in Spiritism, knows greatly about the books that were psychographed by Chico Xavier and Kardec's, which is very, very unique. So this Wednesday, watch out because keep an eye. You see the announcement between today and tomorrow where we're going to disclose the time for the program so you can join Geraldo Lemos Neto in To Know Spiritism. That's the name of their program. And we are happy that they are doing this. More hosts joining forces with us, right? Today, as we're studying the beautiful message of Meimei. Meimei is this elevated spirit that educates children in the beyond and is deeply connected to educating children in the world. She came through Chico Xavier and gave to us several books, amongst them the one we're studying. God awaits you. Deus Aguarda. And in that book, 21 messages that began being translated with our team at Cardiac Radio, Carlos here, and then our new friend joining us, Nora Brazil. Thank you so much, Nora, for joining forces with us. Thank you. And Sunshine, that her name, Meimei, is not her actual name. Her actual name was Irma de Castro. Meimei was the kind nickname given to her by her husband, Arnaldo Rocha, who also worked very closely with Chico Xavier, and it was a Chinese nickname given to her. That was in a book, in a beautiful novel. He borrowed the name and gave it to her, and she stayed as this. So beautiful, right? See, the elevated spirits, they also don't mind how we call them. Many people want to know the names of their guardian angels, but the guardian angels are so elevated. It doesn't matter if you call them Paul or John or this or that and the other. They are happy that you are paying attention. It's like a parent, a good parent. If our child calls us mom, mommy, mother, Vanessa, Van, it doesn't matter. As long as they are calling us, we're super happy to know that they are paying attention and they are in this need of connecting. So that's what matters the most. Okay? Welcome, friends. Keep joining us at Cardiac Radio. Today, the chapter is beautiful. It's about a lecture on compassion. But it's not like a lecture, like lecturing. It's like a explanation, an explanation. It's a classroom. Remember we said yesterday, it's a classroom Jesus said, Meimei, can you go there, please, and teach the ones that I'm tutoring? She said, yes, Master. And yesterday, she was teaching us through this beautiful prayer to Jesus, asking us to focus on the good. Second thing, today, she comes in and she shares with us a lesson on compassion that probably we haven't heard the way she states. Are you ready? Yes? So, let's go. Chapter 4, a lecture on compassion. As the mentor finished the valuable lesson, he spoke with simplicity. To assist safely in the human trails, it is necessary that compassion be the basis for every attitude. No exasperation leads to benevolence. Any destructive observation is a disturbing agent in the field of the good works. Let us surrender ourselves to the sowing of love without expecting any tribute of gratitude in return. The reincarnated spirits bear a heavy burden of tribulations, so that it may be permissible to torment them with, it may be not permissible to torment them with admonitions and censures. Almost always, the reincarnated spirits suffer and cry. A person may show a high level of strength, vigor. However, that same person carries the disadvantages of being impulsive. Another person may have achieved economic security, but that person carries a hidden illness that restrains movement. Another person accumulated an enormous fortune. However, that person laments the pitiful imbalance of their descendants. Many others may be careless, who were careless yesterday, may today lament the loss of unforgettable loved ones. This one may have conquered fame and yet turned over to solitude. Another gained influence and power over thousands of people. However, that person needs to lean on a friendly heart in order not to fall under the weight of his or her own obligations. Another person may be wise, but he or she may need to rely on someone else so as not to succumb to the demands of community life. Many others stand out in beauty and intelligence, yet they cherish the negative desires that bring them closer to illness and death. Compassion for all is what the Lord of Life asks of us. Once the instructor finished the elucidations, a companion approached him and asked, "Professor, is there perhaps a process by which we can easily install compassion within ourselves?" The mentor smiled with kindness and said, "Friend, compassion is the fruit of discernment. How many of us in this room have already crossed human roads and as a consequence know the price to work for the good in the constraints and difficulties of the physical plane? For this reason, let us remember the lesson of Jesus that those who have already passed through the way of humanity with the greatness of angels cast the first stone." Wow, there's so much to break down right here and now. Right, Teresa Castro? Who doesn't deserve compassion? But they are talking about, of course, to all of us, but showing to us that the good spirits, they are always compassionate. They know it's hard. I've never heard Mentor Joseph being harsh, but he was always very positive in his discernment, you know? So, because they know it's not easy to be incarnated. It's like a teacher at school. A good teacher knows the challenges of growth, the challenges of that particular age group, the challenges of acquiring that knowledge. So there's kindness, there's compassion, but there's firmness too. So let's go first and foremost, ask ourselves where we are in that regard. Because as Jesus said, it doesn't matter to know that much if we don't feel it, right? Feel it. Let me share with you a passage by Jesus. If you open the book Our Daily Bread by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier, I forgot the number of the lesson, forgive me for this, but there is a lesson in that book that talks about compassion, but talks about the need of ridding ourselves of self-pity. Because sometimes when people feel compassionate, even compassionate towards themselves, there's a fine line between, self-pity and self-compassion. And how do we know the difference? Self-pity is destructive. It's an illness. Go to the book No Solar by Andrew Lewis. He has a chapter dedicated to self-pity. It's very destructive and it's contagious. So it's not self-pity or pitying others that we're talking about. No, we're talking about understanding. When this teacher is asked by a student in the classroom, Professor, how do I install that compassion in me? The answer is, compassion is the fruit of discernment. So what is discernment? What is discernment? If you go to the many dictionaries, they end up with a similar common definition. The ability to grasp what is obscure, the ability to have sharp perceptions. So we cannot be compassionate if I do not understand what's going on. Sharp perceptions. Many studies already point out that many of our problems are not in our decision making, but on how we interpret what we're perceiving. So it's in our perception. And then you may be asking, how do I train myself to have sharp perceptions? How? How do I train myself? It's like psychophysics, we say. There's this branch of study in psychology that we call psychophysics. They study about perception. And we are here trying to identify how we can polish our perceptions, because majority of our problems happen in the way we encode the stimuli of the world. Vanessa, no, don't give me these technical words. Tell me something more direct. Okay, I'll give you something direct. For example, somebody comes to me and says, hey you, can you trash this cup out? Today we were serving the homeless in DC. And this woman comes, she's homeless. She's receiving the food. She turns to me and Carlos and says, she pretty much shouts at us and says, "Hey, trash this for me." She doesn't ask please. She doesn't, nothing. It's as if we're servants. At first I was like shocked because we're so used to please and thank you, please and thank you. But immediately the good spirit said, remember, she is in a disadvantageous position here. At first, my perception of her was like a person dealing with us, asking for something and not using please and thank you. But she's not simply a person. If I stop at that, I'll be upset, I'll be mad, I'll say, oh, these people don't deserve to be helped. But then if I go deeper, digging deeper, seeking the good, she is not in her best condition. She may be sick, tired, overwhelmed, feeling abused. Her neurochemistry is probably not in the best condition either. So, what can I expect? How can I dare to expect that somebody in that condition is going to be polite, loving, and kind? And to tell you the truth, I have many friends here who are from the SSVA and were there. We often receive much care and love from them because many of them, in spite of their condition, they are spiritual, they may be loving and kind, and it's unbelievable how they do that. But some of them are in deep, deep emotional, psychological distress, spiritual distress. So my encoding at first was like a threat. And then breathing in and out, was able to hear the voice of discernment saying, go back and reevaluate. She's not well. And Carlos was very kind. He said, okay, give it to me. And I was like, wow, great attitude. So breathing, boosting our discernment with relaxation breathing is very important. I breathe in and out, and I go back and give the situation and the person a new meaning. This is not any person. This is a person who is in deep distress. Because somebody who is happy, they say please and thank you. And I say happy in the sense of when they can deal with themselves. Right, Carol? Most of the homeless are kind. So how do I get to this ability of sharpening my perceptions? What is the answer? To be compassionate, I need to discern. To discern, I need to give a new meaning to my perceptions. Sensations is the input, I interpret, I give a new meaning. How do I do this? Instruction. Without studying, we cannot change it. That's why we need all those books. Because it is in studying, understanding more deeply the human nature, ourselves, like in question and answer 919 of the Spirit book by Kardec. I was revisiting this today with Carol Correa. How do I avoid mistakes and boost my progress? The answer, self-knowledge. And later in that thesis, Kardec discloses to us that self-knowledge is the means to self-improvement. So I need to know myself. How much do we know of ourselves? And I'm going to share something with you. Even materially speaking, let's say you need a job. You say, oh, I need a job. And then I ask, what are you able to do? What do you do? Oh, I used to teach. Okay, what else? Oh, I like cooking and I dance. It's okay, so then I open the perspective of job applications. If I know myself. If I don't know myself, it's gonna be hard to find a job, because then I'll be restricted to what I've done this far. And who said we should be limited to what we've been doing this far? Sometimes you have that hidden ability and you can branch out, expand. Maybe that's why you're out of job. To say, reinvent yourself, open a new pathway. Right, Carol? And as Teresa Castro is saying, effort and repetition. When Kardec discloses to us in the Spirit's book what the Spirit revealed to us, he's telling us self-knowledge is the means through which we will progress. So, many of us have blind spots. Many of us. And that's why often parts of our lives or our lives become stagnate, like stopped. Oh, I dream of doing this. I want to do that, but I'm stuck because there's a blind spot. How do you get rid of your blind spot? By studying, instructing yourself. Because once you get to know of a new reality, you expand your perception. You will recognize only what you know. If I show you this, what is this, Vanessa? I don't know. What is this, friends? Do you know what this is? Probably not, right? Now let me show it to you. It's a happy face. Now let me show it to you again. What is this? Because you saw the ball before, it's a happy face ball, stress ball. When I show you parts of it, your brain already tells, oh, it's the happy face. Just because I showed you a tiny bit. That's how we work. It doesn't take much. Our system is very sharp. Once I acquire information, it's quicker for me to recognize. So, if I need discernment to be compassionate, and if I need to sharpen my perceptions to be discerning better, then I need to expand the realm of my knowledge, of my vision, to sharpen my perception, to discern better, and thus be more compassionate towards ourselves and others. Today, a man was telling me, a homeless, I fought in the Vietnam War and I had to kill people I didn't want to kill. And I have PTSD. It's hard. Sometimes I go to the woods because I just feel I can't handle it. How do you overcome it? It's not simple, but there is a way. Science already proves to us. We need to acquire new memories to displace the PTSD memories. I've read that paper in 2014. Beautiful. Showing to us that even traumatic memories can be displaced if and only if I acquire new memories. That's why instruction, reading, Knowledge is essential. So, read, read, read. Study, study, study. Read, read, read. And the happy face is saying, read, read, read. Study, study, study. Read, read, read. Study, study, study. I have to repeat so it stays in our minds. You're sad, open a book and read. You're happy, open a book and read. Mark it down. Acquire new knowledge. Get rid of the blind spots. Expand perception. Sharpen it. So we boost discernment. Boosting discernment, we boost compassion. In this picture, we see Chico Xavier psychographing books. In that picture, it shows to us that the true healing is in the soul. That's why the books. Next time you say, I want to go to a healing session, open a book. A spiritist book is a mobile healing session. A spiritist book is a mobile healing session. You open it, it bathes us in new understanding. We expand our awareness, and thus we sharpen our perceptions. We boost our discernment. We're more compassionate. We change our relationships with ourselves and everyone else. Teresa Castro is saying, in the emotional empowerment course you mentioned recreating our painful past. Would this work for PTSD? Exactly, exactly. Beautiful. So new memories, beautiful memories, they displace the bad ones. The problem, Teresa, is that majority of us, for example, I see cancer patients, years go by and they keep telling the story and telling the story and telling survivors and telling the story. It's like war soldiers as well. They come back and they tell the story and tell the story, so they don't overcome it. First thing is, leave it aside, create new memories. And that is going to be displaced. By observing that, we are not overcoming anything. Doing the good. Doing the good. Okay? So today, Meimei is saying, compassion for us is what the Lord of Life asks of us. Compassion for us is what the Lord of Life asks of us. To assist safely in the human trails, it's necessary that compassion be the basis of every attitude. No exasperation leads to benevolence. So many of us say, I want to help. It's so common. In the world, it's rare when you find somebody who doesn't care. Rare. People, they want to help. The problem is, to help effectively, she says, we need to have compassion. But what is this compassion? Is discernment. Right? I can't go to the White House and say, Mr. Trump, I'm here to help. Okay, sit down. I'm going to give you a lesson on spiritism so you think twice what you're doing. I may not be helping him by doing so. I'll be more effective because I'll speak Greek if I say such things. So, what do? I stay home and I say, I don't know what it is actually to be on your shoes, but I pray for you, Mr. President, and all presidents of the world, because it may not be easy to be in this position. If the president of our Spiritist Center has a hard time, imagine the president of a country. So we need to have compassion. We need to have discernment to sharpen our perceptions, to get rid of the blind spots. This is Meimei's call for us today. She says that the Lord of Life asks us to boost our compassion. In the next 24 hours, let us see how we can boost this compassion towards ourselves, towards others, towards discarnate spirits, everyone. Compassion doesn't mean we're gonna let people do what they want. We're gonna understand them. Think of police, law enforcement, okay? They have a hard job. They have to secure our lives, and often to do it, they have to arrest people, give people citations and tickets, etc. It's not pleasant. But thank God some people do this work. Does that mean that they are not compassionate? Yes, they may be compassionate because they are discerning what is good for the general population. Like in a spiritist center. If we allow anybody to do what they like, that's not compassion to the general good. So that's why there's order, there's discipline. And in the highest spheres, there's order and discipline. That's why she begins this chapter: to assist safely in the human traits necessary that compassion be the basis of every attitude. No exasperation leads to benevolence. Let us surrender ourselves to the sowing of love without expecting any tribute in return. Right? I see beautiful friends here who have joined us since the beginning. Renata Casadei, Sunshine, Karina Alice, John da Rosa, Rihanna, Nora Brasil, Carol Correia, thank you, Teresa Castro, Betsy, João Pedro, Sol Souza, Rita de Cássia, Paula, Alicia Ramos, what a joy, Alicia, Rosemary Assis. So friends, for us, the call in the next 24 hours is to boost our compassion by boosting our discernment, our perceptions be sharpened, expanding our knowledge, and then we'll live better. Be more helpful. Study, 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 read the books, and meditate. That's the message of today. That's the message of today by the Spirit Meimei, and we'd like to finalize with a prayer. Shall we? A prayer for all of us. July 8th is a special day in Spiritism. It's the day of Emmanuel, the Spiritists say, because it's the day that Chico Xavier psychographed his first message, that he met Emmanuel. So 8th of July is very meaningful in Spiritism. So as we enter this new week, let us go back to these teachings of Emmanuel and be connected, because Emmanuel is working side by side with our Master Jesus. Okay? So let us feel this embrace of the loving spirits. Thank you, dear spirit protectors. Thank you so much for your work that is yet to be understood by us, because we don't grasp a tenth of your tutorship, of your protection. So thank you. And thank you for the call to compassion today, boosting our discernment and trusting in our ability to do so. May this day we be vibrating greater understanding and also compassionate towards children of God. And the beauty of non-stoppable progress, continuous progress always, is such a joy for us. We rejoice as we feel more encouraged and hopeful to go on, pressing on with the good always. Feeling our embrace, we await the next message, hoping to apply this one in our daily lives, and so be it. A big hug to you, dear friend, and until tomorrow, God willing, because God awaits you. Thank God you still invest on us. We feel the good, we share the good. Until tomorrow, God willing, my friends.